It finally happened. Deuce Knight is an Auburn Tiger.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining me today, Jake Crane of Crane & Company. We'll talk about everything that has to do with Deuce Knight finally flipping away from Notre Dame to the place where he's been every weekend for the last, several months, it seems like. He flips to the Auburn Tigers. Jake, Auburn has their quarterback in the 2025 class. This means so much. Where do we start in your mind?
Well, I think you start with finally something good happened. It seems like with all the negativity, you needed a quote unquote win, especially with probably what's going to happen this weekend in Athens. You never know, but I think a lot of Auburn fans, probably have a pretty good idea, but you got to go out there and play the game. But Zach, the rule is you want to sign a quarterback in every class, right? Ooh. That's the rule. And I want to start off by saying, you got to make sure and understand that Walker White is there, right? He's going to have an opportunity. Just like Duce Knight is going to have an opportunity. I don't know and I don't think Hugh Freeze and them are in the business of promising playing time. But if you have quarterbacks that don't want competition or any room that is afraid of competition or wants to leave because you signed another player, you really don't want that player. So it's a great get. If you're going to get one, you want to make sure you get the bang for your buck. And in a position where it's still unknown for Auburn with Walker White. We don't know what Walker White's going to be. We don't know what Deuce Knight is going to be, but you're bringing in talented guys, and the more talented guys you bring in, the better chance that they have to hit, right? It's a smarter bet. And look, we know Auburn has struggled at the quarterback position. I mean, let's make no bones about it. Football teams, if you don't have a good quarterback, you're going to struggle. Just like if you don't have a good point guard, you're going to struggle. If you don't have a good striker, you're going to struggle. If you don't have a good shortstop or a pitcher, you're going to struggle. So it's a big win for Hugh Freeze and them, and a guy that, man, you talk about talent, a guy that can, and Zach, I want to make this point, and I don't want to get out ahead of you.
No, go ahead.
This is huge for keeping the recruiting class intact.
That's it.
Right? Even as ugly as it may get down the stretch for this Auburn team. And if you're Cam Coleman, if you're Malcolm Simmons, right? If you're Perry Thompson, you may already feel good about staying, and I hope they do because of Walker White and the commitment that you made and you believe in Hugh Freeze. But it helps when you know you got a guy. First off, the names. I'm a big believer in names. All right. Deuce Knight, just like Aaron Nolan or some of these other guys. I'm a big believer in baseball. Names, they matter. So I'm really excited for Auburn, and this is a great haul for them. They needed it. Really, really needed it badly.
Yeah, no, Deuce Knight's an incredible quarterback name. I don't think there's any question about it.
No.
But yeah, I think you said it, right? Because a fan narrative, or I guess a narrative outside of Auburn, is like, they've got a top 5 class right now, but just wait, it'll all fall apart. No, like it doesn't have to fall apart. Like it's not one of those things where this is a recruiting class that's being held together by duct tape. This foundation has been built for several years, and that's what kind of made the Deuce Knight thing so inevitable, Jake, because he got along with this class so well. These guys are all buddies. They're all friends. And eventually we all knew he'd want to be a part of it.
Well, and it goes back to the type of guy you're recruiting too, right? It's not just about, hey, he's a really good player. You have to have the right type of person when you're building something. And I think they got that with Cam Coleman and the guys that I mentioned earlier. But then you look at Alvin Henderson telling Auburn fans after games, don't worry, we're going to come in and fix it. And you want to know how you get rid of this choking situation that Auburn has all across the team. And it's not every older guy. I don't think Eugene Asante is afraid of the moment. It's not everybody, but you got to get this old leadership out of here. You've had your chances, right? And you're going to have more this year, but these young guys are hungry to come in and fix it, right? They're winners. They want the moment. And you see that with Alvin Henderson helping guide this recruiting class. You saw Walker White do it last year. These guys aren't, this isn't oh no, I'm scared to get the job done. I'm just glad to put on an Auburn jersey. No, it's don't worry, Auburn fans. We believe in Hugh Freeze, and we're going to come in and fix it. And then when those guys get to be older, that's the type leadership you want, and the culture that doesn't blow the game against Oklahoma, that doesn't blow the game against Arkansas, that doesn't blow the game against Cal. They come in and they win because that's who they are and that's what they know.
Yeah, talent's a huge part of this, but culturally, like Auburn has a ways to go. Auburn has a ways to go.
We don't know how to win right now. With the older guys we have, say what you want. I'm sure, again, I don't have any personal animus against anybody there, and it's not everybody, right? But overall, there is a sickness in the leadership on the field. All the stuff off the field is great. You need that too. But how can I look at somebody that's a quote-unquote captain, like the quarterback right now? How could you ever tell me anything when I'm watching you screw up on the field in the biggest moments all the time? You have to have those guys that prove it on the field, because that's what matters most. You want respect. You want to be looked at as a leader. Go ball out when the lights are on. When there's 80,000, when game day's there. Not all this, I'm not okay and you're not okay, but that's okay. Get that stuff. The quicker that gets out and these new guys get in, the better off Auburn will be. And I know that. Hugh Freeze knows that. And everybody that knows how this thing works knows that.
Yeah, I mean, the older guys, I love all of them. I've gotten a chance to speak with most of them. There are a bunch of guys who have been 5-5 or 500 for the bulk of their college career. And like, that stinks. And over the course of 5 years, that weighs down on you. And that's who you are at some point.
Like,
they've got to fix it.
Zach, it's not going out of your way to be mean or overly critical. You are what your record says you are. Yeah. This is a business. This is a zero-sum game. So what I say about Coach Freeze, who I still believe in, by the way. All the talk is good. All the, hey, we're doing this, all that stuff's great. That's a huge part of it, and that's important. There are things that are more important than football. But when you are paid as much as these guys get paid, and as much, and the town runs off the athletic department and the football team, at some point, you got to show it on the field, and you got to have guys that have that dog in them that make the plays on the field. And you're born with that, right? You're born with that. And guys like that want to play with each other, Zach. That's why you see this happen. Guys want to be around winners because they want to win. So the quicker the older group gets out of here, and again, thanks for the memories, right? But we got to win. The losing stuff has to stop, and it starts with the guys in that locker room, not just talent, but wanting the moment. And I think guys like Walker White and Deuce Knight and other guys want the moment. Yeah, so what should we expect for Deuce Knight? Let's jump into that in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Right now, you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. I mean, at that point, it's just irresponsible not to check it out. You can, if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. So Auburn plus 23.5. That's, I think they keep it closer than 23.5. So you can check all that out at FanDuel.com. Jake Crane, our guest of Crane and Company. Realistic timeline for Deuce Knight. And a reason I've loved Auburn and Hugh Freeze pursuing Deuce Knight is it seems like he's pretty self-aware. He's not this hot shot freshman quarterback that expects to start as a true freshman. He's okay with Hugh Freeze bringing in a transfer quarterback if he has to. He's okay with Hank Brown or Walker White getting a few years if he has to, because he knows eventually he's gonna be the guy. And I think that from a program standpoint, that is, I think that's a pretty cool thing to have out of your quarterback. Well, without a doubt, you want a guy that's mature beyond his years, right? You want a guy that understands the way the process works. But on that same hand, Zach, he wants to come in and play too. Like, he's going to know, hey, if I come in here, even if they go get a transfer quarterback, I'm going to go as hard as humanly possible to try and win this job. Both of those things can happen at once. You can have the confidence to go in there and think you can win the job, but God forbid you don't be able to say, you know what? This is probably, I'm fine with this because I understand how this process works. And I got a red shirt year. So, and you learn, because I mean, going to college, even if you're a regular student, It's a big adjustment.
Sure.
So both of those things can be true. And again, what iron sharpens iron, right? Oldest cliche in the book. You want great competition in that room. Walker White's going to be in there. We'll see with Hank Brown what happens, after this. But I tell you what, man, it's nice to look in that room and be like, dog, and then you have, like, look at Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold was the anointed one. He was the boy who lived. He gets pulled a couple games in, and Michael Hawkins Jr. didn't complain. He didn't cry. He waited for his moment, and he went in there and took advantage of it. And against Auburn, when it mattered the most in the last 8 minutes, yes, the Oklahoma defense got a pick 6, but Michael Hawkins was the one who turned up, and the senior for Auburn was the one who turned away.
Yeah. And so you're looking for those guys. You want to stack these classes. I mean, that means different things, and you just want as many lottery tickets at quarterback as you can possibly get. And I think your odds with Deuce Knight are pretty dang good. Number 2 quarterback in the country, according to ESPN. Number 2 quarterback in the country, according to Rivals. Like, you take your shot. You take your shot with a guy like that.
He's good. Like, and he just, when you watch his tape, like, there's so many intangibles that it's not just, obviously it's throwing the ball and can you run, but watch the way, if you watch actual game tape of him, everybody's highlight film looks great. You're going to be like, wow. If it was, we were evaluating guys. We wouldn't watch we'd watch the highlight tape first just to know if you were fast enough, right? Or like just to see it. And then we'd watch the game tape. Watch him stand in there and take hits and deliver the ball. Like, there's so many intangibles that you watch in a guy. And just like Walker had them, Deuce has them. And they're two different type of players.
Yeah, what does a mobile quarterback do on 1st and 10 when the pocket collapses and he feels it and he steps up and he gets 3 yards and it's a positive play? Like,
for sure.
I mean, it's just these the plays that keep drives alive or put you in situations to win a play or two later or make 3rd down easier. I mean, that's what you've got to do. And I think Deuce Knight, his athleticism and poise seems to do that, because that's my whole thing. And this goes back to kind of what you said last segment. Auburn doesn't have any composure whatsoever.
No, can't handle prosperity. Handle prosperity.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, you look at Deuce Knight, it's like, can that guy handle pressure? Yes. Now, all these guys can handle pressure at the high school level. And like, there's some things where you've got to kind of sit down with these kids and figure out, does it translate to the next level the way that you want it to? But I mean, Deuce Knight checks every single box you could possibly look for.
Without a doubt. And again, you have to establish a culture of that. And the only way you establish that culture is by making those plays in the big moments. Not that you're going to make every one of them, right? But look at Ryan Williams at Alabama. He's 17 years old. When Georgia took the lead, who did Bama go straight to?
Great point.
Because he's got that. You want to know why? Because Jalen Milroe's got that dog in him. Because a bunch of those Alabama guys have that in them. Please run it at me on 4th down. Please let me kick a game-winning field goal. Please let me make the block. Not, oh no, it's my turn to make a big play. How can I screw it up? That's what Auburn has right now. We got to be honest. And again, that's not these are the worst people in the world or whatever. And but you have to see that on the field to develop that. And then now, when the younger guys coming under them, they're like that because they're watching the older guys be like that, and they assimilate themselves to that way of thinking, even if they're not all the way there. That's what culture is. It's not just being a good person. Right. If it was just about being a good person, open up a daycare or a soup kitchen or a nonprofit. No, this is SEC football. Go make the play. I'm sick of the almost. All right, Auburn isn't an almost place, and that sickness has to get out of here, and hopefully the class they brought in last year and this one are going to fix that, because we're really getting sick of watching it.
Yeah, the true freshmen are playing. There's no question about it.
Look at Riddick. Did you see Riddick the other day?
How could you not?
Like, I mean,
everywhere.
Those are the type cats we got to have. Like, the rest, please.
And this class is filled with. Let me ask you this. Does Duce Knight guarantee a top 5 class for Auburn in 2025?
It's Zach, you know this. You've been covering it long enough. Even the coaches know this. If you've ever recruited, nothing is ever for certain, but it's all about putting yourself in the best position possible to maintain it. And you cannot put yourself in a better position than signing a top-level quarterback. And it's not just receivers.
Right.
It's offensive linemen. It's DBs. It doesn't matter what position you play, offense, defense, or special teams. You want to be on a team with a really good quarterback. It does. Yeah, that doesn't matter. The quarterback is the leader, right? And you want to play for a guy that you know has that dog in him, and it's a lot more fun to win, right? What Auburn's going through right now, what the poor souls that were, born in 2007 and 6, those poor Auburn fans that have never really seen Auburn do anything really outside of 2017, they don't know what it's like. They deserve to see it. So hopefully, and again, there's plenty of blame to go around. The coaches haven't been great either this year, right? Mm-hmm. Auburn choked in clock management and play calling the other day. That's on the coaches, but hopefully this group and bringing in a guy like this can be the catalyst to getting what Auburn needs to get over the hump and finally start coming through.
Yeah. Jake, it's actually kind of amazing that Auburn was able to put this class together without having a quarterback.
And I said this like multiple times. This staff is so good at recruiting because it's not just not having a quarterback. You aren't winning anything. You've shown no proof of concept on the field. And that's why we said that's why it's so big for Auburn to start off good this year. And the fact that you're 2-3 and you lost to Cal and Arkansas and blew it against Oklahoma at home, and you're probably about to go get rolled by Georgia. Good, bad. I hope not, right? But this shows you how good these guys are at recruiting. Imagine if Auburn was doing well on the field. Imagine if they had that arrow in their quiver. And imagine when they get that. Like that, Auburn is going to be dangerous, very, very dangerous. But at some point, it's a mentality. It's a mindset. It's a DNA thing. It's who you are. And Auburn just doesn't have that. They talk a great game, right? Well, Peyton Thorne doesn't. He goes on Next Round Live and says he'd get tricked by the defense 10 out of 10 times, which is what happened, by the way, Zach. If you'll give me 1 minute just to explain.
Let's jump into that in just a second. You want to talk about Peyton Thorne's comments? Is that what you want to talk about?
Well, it's just on social media, some people are like, oh, well, he didn't mean that he would throw a pick 10 out of 10 times. No, here's what happened. That's called a drop coverage off a bluff look and a blitz. Go back and watch the game. Oklahoma did the exact same thing when Auburn was in the red zone early in the game, and Peyton Thorne threw it right to the same guy, but he dropped it for an interception.
Oh, right.
So what happened was you get up there and you look at the pre-snap alignment. And you say, all right, it looks like zero coverage. You have an idea of where you want to go with the ball, but you don't make your mind up where you're going to throw it before the ball is snapped. Why do you think defenses disguise themselves? So you will make your mind up where to go before the snap. So the fact that you said you would do that 10 out of 10 times means that you said you would be tricked, because that's what they did. Go back and watch it. Watch the bubble. What should have happened is snap. Oh, it's a drop coverage in the window. They're not in zero. Let me go through my progression and spit it to the bubble. You just said you would get tricked 10 out of 10 times. That was not a good decision by Peyton Thorne. The play calling, the two plays before were awful. I agree with that. Don't give him the chance to screw it up. But the fact you would go out there and say that is asinine to me, because, Zach, you got tricked. And it's obvious. It's blatantly obvious. You know what you say? I screwed up. They confused me with the look, and I made my mind up where I was going to go with the ball before it was snapped.
It's
and
just
that
amazing,
is a death sentence.
Because he's got to know. Like, as soon as he said that, I was watching it live on the next round. I'm like, oh, somebody's going to clip that.
Well, Zach, they did it before, and they did it multiple times, not just versus empty looks. And they did it to do that. In the minute that Peyton Thorne in the red zone threw that ball that got batted down and not intercepted, I guarantee you, I'd be willing to bet whatever that Venables and the defensive guys said next time they go empty or it's third and passing in a big situation, we're going to show this same look and let's see if he does it again. And he did it again, and then said he would do it 10 more times. That is incredible to me, because the tape don't lie. You can sit here and try and defend it all you want and cry in your hands or whatever, but that was an egregious mistake by an older guy that, Zach, how many coverages have you think this guy's seen? He's seen a million of them. Disguised coverages. It's unacceptable.
And it's not like he came from the Sun Belt either. Like he was in the Big Ten.
Dude, this guy's got, listen, and you got to stick with him for the rest of the season, but the quicker he gets out of here, the better Auburn will be. And I wish him nothing but success in the future.
Yeah, no,
I hope he's a great insurance salesman or whatever.
Let's pivot back to Deuce Knight real quick. What should we expect moving forward with this class because Deuce Knight is in it? That's coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Jake Crane of Crane & Company. We talked about this a month ago when we thought Deuce Knight would be a part of this class like a month ago. But there's been some other names that are like, okay, yeah, I'm interested in Auburn, but I want to see you get the quarterback first. Caleb Cunningham, the 5-star wide receiver from Mississippi who's committed to Alabama. He's been there. Andrew Babalola, the 5-star offensive tackle. It seems like Michigan super interested in him, and he's interested in Michigan. But these are two of the many guys, these are two of the main ones that have said, yeah, I'm interested, but until you get a quarterback, I'm not going there with you quite yet. What do you expect to happen now that Deuce Knight is in the boat?
Good things, really good things. At least, again, it puts you in the best position possible. It's the greatest insurance policy ever because now, as long as you hold on to this guy, you can have bad results on the field this year, but say, hey, Caleb, hey, Andrew, hey, Naheem, look what's coming to fix it. Look who's coming in to fix it. Regardless, it's not going good now because we don't have these guys. But once y'all come in and there's you can point to Deuce Knight and say, look, he's locked in. He's going to come in here and help. Why don't you come with him? Because you know he's a dog. It's an ultimate insurance policy.
Yeah. I just wonder what the timeline of that is. Like, are these the type of commitments that last? And I know they all last until early signing day, but I do wonder if this is going to be kind of how Hugh Freeze works his magic in December. I wonder if those are going to be the guys to watch and how much of the sales pitch Deuce Knight is to be a part of that. I mean,
look at Alvin Henderson. Like, and he plays running back. Like, it's this again. And remember, and Zach, I don't even call it early signing period anymore. It's actually signing day. Their signing day is now in December, and the late signing period is in February. And that's great for all. We're in October, brother. Like, we're in October. So it's not like you got to wait till February. Oh, no, now you got an extra 2 months to do it. December time rolls around. Hey, let's all hop in the boat. Let's get y'all in here early. Let's go through a spring practice together. Whether it's Deuce Knight, whether it's a transfer portal guy, whether it's Walker White, you're going to bring these guys with you because you know we're going to ball because you got a dog at the quarterback position. So the new signing period in December is a huge advantage here. And I would love for Auburn to make the playoff. I hate being in this position. But while some other teams like the Georgias and Bamas and Tennessees will be playing through January, Auburn can use that. And I know there's dead periods and things like that, but you have more time to recruit because I don't know if Auburn's making a bowl game this year.
It doesn't look like it. They're going to have to beat some folks that we did not think that they would, which is possible. We'll see. I mean, some of these are gettable, but they need everything to fall their way for sure. Jake Crane, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Easy, man. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you watch, listen, it's just Google Crane & Company, CRAIN and Company. I mean, we got 55 straight days of football now, baby. There's never a better time to lock in. So look, if you like this show, there's a pretty good chance you're going to like our show. So come check us out.
Yep, 100%. Give them all the love. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.